Yeah, I mean, I just think when you look at these guys, and that's why I always make it my business to say Jaleel Hackett, my son, is the top young prospect. He's a world rated guy now, but amongst his class, he's the best. When you look at these classes, Earl and it was their class. Earl and Boots, that was their. I mean Earl and Bud, that was their class. The next class is the Jerron Ennis class. My son is in the class after that. His era hasn't come yet. His era is coming. But when he do lay claim to his, I see a lot of good fights in the future for my son. If my son become that world champion, man, do you see the great fights? The great fights that's coming there?
Because they all got to come up to 40.
Yeah. Devin getting big. Devin is growing. He's growing in his manhood. His next stop got to be welterweight. I'd love to be in a position to get that fight if it's ever something that's available. Look at some of the other guys. Teo, I always thought Teo was great since the amateurs. He's growing. He's getting bigger. He could be a welterweight. It's a lot of great fights. So, it may not have been great for one guy, but depending on the time and the eras of it, it could be great for the next guy. So I look at it. I look at the sport in that view.
What's your thoughts? Because conversations were coming up lately on dads and sons in the sport of boxing. Because I think Tim Bradley was talking about, should dads be coaches in the ring, in the corner with their son? What's your thoughts on that? Being a dad and a coach.
I think if you can make separations between the two, I don't see a problem with it. And for me, why is it when we get to boxing, your father being part of your career is a problem, but in all the other sports, it's not a problem. It's like they clap, they glorify it. He supported his son. He's been there for him. Why is that? Michael Jordan's dad was with him his whole career.
So why do you think that is with that stigma when it comes to that in the sport of boxing?
Because it's easier to manipulate a child than it is to manipulate a knowledgeable father who sees what is going on. It's just easier, and that's the part that I think your father comes into play. But I do agree, if your father's trying to live through you, then it becomes tough. It's like he had unfinished business in his life, so he wants to live through you. But if your father is trying to make sure he helps you live, then I think he looks at it different. And that's the part, that I want to, harp on. Like, I want to make it where my son is financially secure. That's the whole thing. If he's financially secure, then I did my job. His goal, maybe I'm going to be a world champion in multiple weight classes. My son always say, I want to have a career like Roy Jones Jr. So my job is to help him have that career. But I've told him, when you were amateur, you worked for me. When you first turned pro, we worked together. At some point in your pro career, I work for you. That's just the way it is.
I think Bill talked about that too. Yeah, the same. He said the same thing. Yeah, he said, now I'm at this point, I work for you. Yeah, that's what he was talking about, Devin. Yeah.
What do you think? If it's a fight that I don't like, I'll give him my opinion. But at the end of the day, it's his career. He said, nah, we're going to pull the trigger. We fighting this guy. I just got to do my job. My job is to make sure I come up with the game plan, make sure I help prepare him. His job is to carry out the game plan and follow the directions of preparing you.
Man, Bernard, I truly, truly appreciate your time, as always, giving your knowledge and insight into the sport of boxing.
Oh, anytime, but anytime.
There you have it, Bernard Hackett, on the ropes. We out.